Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Christy Wooten. I'm the president of the Atlanta Press Club. I would like to welcome you to our weekly series, the Check-In series, which is geared toward helping journalists with tips and tricks. And today we're excited to have freelance journalist Maggie Lee here with us. She's on the board of directors of the Atlanta Press Club, and she has a great list of tips for you, ranging from how to arrange data to how to search Google, a lot of great information for journalists. So I'm going to hand it over to Maggie and she will take it away.
Y'all, my name is Maggie Lee. I'm a freelance reporter here in Atlanta. I've been reporting for about 10 years. I do mostly state and local government. Oh, can y'all see me? I hope so. Anyway, I do mostly state and local government, but what I really like to do is use the power of computers to increase my productivity. Oh, it says talk louder. Let me put in my headphones. So I'm going to show y'all some ways to use a computer to increase your productivity as a journalist. Is this better for sound? I hope so. So if you have any questions or comments, I will be pausing now and then to ask for questions. If you have questions or comments, type them in the chat box and either Christy or Sheena will read them. So let's get started. The slides I'm going to use are, okay, let's see. Can you all see my website? I hope so. Okay. These slides I'm using tonight are at maggielee.net/hacks. So if you don't have this yet, go over to maggielee.net.com/hacks, and you will see the same slides I do. Okay. Let's see, is everything okay? I'm going to turn on Q&A so I can make sure everything's okay. Chat. Okay. All right, so let's close Q&A. Okay, so the first thing I want to talk about tonight is how to make maps. It's incredibly easy to make maps these days without any programming, and one of the services I'm going to show you tonight is Data Wrapper. This is a free service if your traffic is small enough. Like if you're on a local website, you can probably use the free tier of Data Wrapper, and if you're a big newsroom, you can afford to pay for the paid tier of Data Wrapper. So what we're going to do is map Georgia's COVID-19 data. And here on this line, I have a link to the data. The state publishes it there. But I went ahead and downloaded some data like a week ago just for purposes of this example. So what we're going to do is we're going to make a sample chart. First, I'm going to open the data. And we're just going to open this up. Let's see, can I open it in Google Drive from here? All right, you can open it in Google. Oh, I'm not logged into Gmail. Let me log into that. But anyway, this data that we're seeing here, you'll notice all the Georgia counties, you know, all this data looks pretty familiar. And so let's make a map with it. We're going to make a chart and a map. So here we go over into Data Wrapper. And by the way, everything that I'm saying tonight, you're not necessarily going to go back home and remember every single step, but at least you'll know what's here, what you can do. You can always come back to these slides. These slides are going to be on my website, you know, forever. So you can get directions, and the Press Club is also going to publish this Zoom. So here we are in Data Wrapper. You can do this example without even having an account, and we're going to paste in some data. So I'm going to open up. I'm going to log into Gmail. Excuse me. I know all of y'all are already logged into Gmail, so this is not a problem. Okay, open with Google Sheets. So like I said, this is all the data published by the state on COVID. And all I'm gonna do is wait for it to load. Still loading, okay. File, no, okay. Click anywhere in it, select all of it. It'll depend on your computer how you do that. For me, it's Command A. For you, it may be something else. Probably there's a way to do it under here. Probably just, you can do it by just clicking and highlighting all of it too. But select all, copy it, and we're gonna paste it over into Data Wrapper. Okay, so that's the exact same thing. So let's proceed. Okay, this looks like our data, right? This looks right, county, deaths, hospitalization, case rate. So let's visualize it. It's gonna offer us a lot of chart types. The default that it's gonna offer us is like not useful. Instead, let's do bar chart. Okay, we're getting a little bit closer to where we wanna be. If for whatever reason you wanted to present this to your readers alphabetically, or if you just wanna read it and understand it alphabetically, this is perfect. But I would suggest it would be more interesting to show highest and lowest cases. So over here, there's a lot of options in Data Wrapper. This does so much, but just like quite easily. Let's sort bars, and there you go. Now we can see the top cases, the top counties. Little caveat here. If you're counting anything by counties in Georgia, Fulton, Gwinnett, DeKalb, and Cobb should be the first ones because they're biggest in population. But this data is interesting because it showed us Hall is not the 5th highest county by population. Why are there 2,500 non-Georgia residents? Dougherty County is certainly not in the top of population. And we have a lot of unknown cases. So even just visualizing this data, even not even talking about publication, just visualizing it helps us understand where there might be a story. Where does something deviate? Where is something unusual? Let's see here. There's all kind of options you can put in here. You can put in the title, COVID, cases as of June 11, whatever you'd put it in. And here's the wonderful part. Whatever your CMS is, like the system where you actually input the data, Data Wrapper is built for that. If you were logged in, you'd see it a little bit differently. I'm not going to get them to email it to me, but when you log in, it would send you a little bit of code, like 3 or 4 lines of code that you can put in your CMS, and it will probably work. It will probably look good on phones. It will probably look good on computers. Like, this is a problem that used to vex people in newsrooms horribly. A Data Wrapper takes away like 90% of that trouble. And you can even take this picture and just download it as an image file and upload it to your CMS as though it were a photo. So that's one thing that makes Data Wrapper great. It's so easy to work with your CMS. But if you're looking at this and saying, I'm not ever going to put a chart that's like 10 inches long, 12 inches long in my website, I agree with you. A graph isn't always the best way to do it. We can also very easily do a map with Data Wrapper. So here we are back on the slides. And then with this link, we're going to make a sample map. Data Wrapper already has like a template map of every Georgia county. And all you have to do is send the data to Data Wrapper in such a way that there's like a number and a county. So we'll go through that real quick. We're going to click on Choropleth map. And we'll have to scroll a lot, but we can go down to United States, Florida, or United States, Georgia, counties. Okay. And then I've got to import my data set. And what it's going to be is, it's just that CSV file up here. I've already downloaded it to my computer. We can open it like that. And Data Wrapper is so smart, it understands like Appling matches Appling, Atkinson, Atkinson, da 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 da. It understands that the first row is the caption. So, next. Okay, what column do I want to visualize? Let's say I want to visualize case rate. Let's do that one. Okay. And now it's showing us the case rate per population. And this is interesting, again, because it shows the cluster down here around Albany, shows the cluster in Hancock. This map is interesting because, again, on like a typical map, like map of members of the Atlanta Press Club, map of dog owners, map of cat owners, anything that you map in raw numbers, the highest one should be Cobb, Gwinnett, Fulton, and DeKalb. If you have a map adjusted for population and those metro counties are not the highest, that's where your news is. And that's it. On the Visualize tab, you'd be able to add, you'd add your title, you'd be able to add a link to the data and everything like that. You could change the colors if you want to. These default colors are already pretty good for color blindness. And then you would just go through the publish step again, and it would give you that little code or a little picture to put straight into your CMS. Data Wrapper, you can also make locator maps, like say, oh, I don't know, you were covering protests this month, and you want to tell your readers where exactly things happened. Data Wrapper can do them in a couple of ways. It can show 3D buildings, things like that. Google My Maps can let you click and even drag a line on a map. I don't think one is any better than the other. It's just like aesthetically, what do you need to show in this map? Do you need to show like a line of marching? If you need to show like a line of marching, maybe you do Google My Maps so you can draw a line. If you need to show a thing where like 3 arrests happened, maybe, this one with dots looks best. So that's Data Wrapper. I'll pause real quick. Are there any questions or any comments? I've got the chat panel open. Anything? Okay, I'll move on to the next one. Okay, explain CMS to us. Maria, CMS is WordPress. When we log into it and type in our text, every newsroom has some software like that. It could be WordPress, it could be something bespoke, and that's where we're pasting our stuff or writing our stuff directly. Anything else? Content management system. Oh man, it's Laura's winning an acronym Jeopardy. Okay, here's one I run into all the time. I'm always checking a web page for some change to it, right? Like, oh, a new meeting has been posted. I don't know if it's the same on other beats, but it's that way for my beat. So instead of you checking a website every day, oh, can I highlight a row with a different color? Okay, Sheena, you mean like the thing I'm talking about? I hope, okay, maybe so. So there are robots. Oh, question was from audience. Oh, like when I draw a graph on Data Wrapper, like if one row is particularly important. Yes, okay, back to Data Wrapper. Let's go back to that right quick because there's some audience questions. Can you highlight a row with a different color? Yes, that's an option on Data Wrapper. When you make your bars, one of the options under like annotation or something will be like highlight row. And you, like if there's one row you want to be pink because it's really important or because you're writing about the pink county, you can highlight it. Another one, can you drop the insignificant numbers at the bottom? I don't know if Tolliver County would consider itself insignificant, but yes, you can easily make a graph that's like, here's the top 10 counties. And if you want to do that, just paste in the top 10 rows from that first spreadsheet we looked at. Okay, all right. So we'll go on to checking websites, right? So if there's a website you have to check all the time for announcements, some kinds of websites, there are some robots that will check that for you. And what it is, it's an automated little code that emulates somebody looking at the internet, and they just look at that page, they look at some page, and they save a copy of it. Then the robot looks at that page again the next day or an hour later or whatever, and compares the two. Is the new one the same as the old one? And if the new one is different from the old one, it'll send you an email and say, oh my gosh, there's some changes to this page. So for example, I like to know when the Supreme Court, the state Supreme Court is going to publish an opinion. And they'll say on their website, hey, we're gonna publish something tomorrow. So I like to set 2 robots to check it. There's 2 of these services I use, Distill and Visual Ping. Again, the free tier, has certain limitations. Distill will give you 1,000 checks a month, but you can only check every 6 hours. Visual Ping, you can get 65 checks a month, but you can like check once per minute. So there's pros and cons to each one. There's some other services as well, but it'll save your butt when it's a slow news day and you get an email in the morning that says, hey, the Supreme Court's about to post some opinions. So just for example, I'm going to go in Distill. If you were logged into Distill, if you opened a Distill account, this is basically what you'd see. And this is, now you know what I look at. I go to add web page. Oops, that's not what I want. Oops. And Georgia Supreme Court, this is their page. I'm saying here, okay, robot, check this page. And it's like, wait, I have some questions first. Do you want to check like a part of the page? Or do you want to check the whole page? And I suggest if this is a service you can use, play with this some. And, like some pages, like the top half may change a lot, but you only care about changes on the bottom half. You can set it to look at only part of the page if you want to. And of course, it gets an error during the thing. This is what you get for free services. This is why I say use 2 of them. You never know. But anyway, once you save the page, it'll say how often do you want to check? Where do you want the email to go to? Do you want it if the text changes? If the new text contains something like this, you can change it. And then you would save it. And that robot will be working for you day and night. And it'll send you an email when something changes. And Visual Ping is basically the same thing. You can create a new job and go through all these prompts. So that's how to check a page for changes. I'll pause again. Are there any questions or any thoughts anybody wants to ask about checking websites for changes? Can I show an example of an email notification? I think so. Let me see if I have one in my inbox. Oh yeah, here we go. Here's what one looks like from Visual Ping. We detected a small change. And what it's done is it's highlighted, oh, view changes, okay. I have to log in. Okay. Y'all don't log in as me. Y'all don't try to guess my password. Oh, okay. So it just takes me back to the desktop, and then I would be able to look at, let's web compare. Is there a limit to the number of groups you can follow? There's not a limit. Like I could set like 100 pages to watch, but what both of these services do is see how many checks it has to make a month. So I could check 10 pages one time a day for a month, or I could check one page 10 times a day for a month. So it has to do with how frequent the checks are. And of course, you can always like create any number of burner email addresses and create like 1,000 free accounts on any of these services. Question from audience. So it shows you the text that's changed. Yeah, it shows the text that is changed, but on visual ping, I think you can show if an image has changed too. So maybe, I don't know, maybe for some reason you might care if somebody uploads a new picture to their bio or something. And there are limitations to this, right? This isn't going to check things like Facebook. Things that you have to log into are generally not trackable by any means except proprietary means, because of course, you know, Facebook wants you to pay them for access to the data. I don't think this will track changes on like Instagram and stuff. When Invest Atlanta posts its agenda, would Distill or Visual Ping let you know? Any given site, I don't know offhand. I would have to test it. Okay. Any other questions on monitoring pages for changes? You can put them in the chat, or I don't know. Sheena's finding out about these questions too. Okay. All right, so we'll go on to the next thing. Let me close these. Okay. We don't need visual ping. We don't need watch list. What's the next thing? Oh, I love this one. I don't know if other people have this problem, but when you want to see a previous version of a website, City of Atlanta will build pages and then delete them. So I don't know if anybody else runs into this trouble, but it's pretty easy to get an archived picture of a website. Again, if it's turned up on one of these services, if it's interesting enough that a robot or another person has set a crawler on it to submit it to these sites. Let's just go with FBI.gov. Let's try it as an example. You know, if you wanted to know what was the FBI talking about right before 9/11, what did they think were the major threats, you could look at a previous version of their website. So the best one, the easiest one is, the best one, the most complete one is always the Wayback Machine. And then up here, you just tell it the website you want to mess with. So I want to know, what has FBI.gov looked like in the past? Oh my gosh, look at all of these. So it's even showing you the snapshots over time. You can click on any one of these snapshots. What did the website look like in 1997? On January 16, 1997. Let's have a look. It takes a while. It's pulling this site out of a glacier. Look at that. We can see what Louis Free wanted to talk about, etc. What archive.org and all the archiving sites do is basically they'll go to a website, save a copy of it on their own server, and they'll serve it to you if you ask for it. So even though the FBI has deleted this, I mean, the Wayback Machine still has a copy of it, and they'll give it to you. Let's see here. Oh, we don't need that one anymore. Archive.is. FBI. All right, Stell, some editor is in here and noted that FBI misspelled kidnapping. Archive.is is the exact same principle. Search the archive for saved snapshots. And pro tip, on these archives, you can find some old creative loafing content. FBI.gov. Again, this one is a lot less complete, but a lot of websites have code on them that tells robots, hey, robots, don't save a copy of me. The Internet Archive respects those robots. This one doesn't respect those robots. So sometimes you can find things on here that you couldn't find on the Wayback Machine. Yeah, and it's the same thing. They only go back to 2012. But anyway, there you go, if you want to know what the FBI used to be thinking about. One more special case, Google Cache. If you Google something, sometimes every now and then Google will have one previous version of it, the most recent previous version of it. And the way you get that, okay, let's Google something. Let's Google the FBI. And so when you see a Google link comes up with a little triangle, a little downward triangle there, sometimes one of the choices is cached. And if it is, it'll give you like the most recent version it has, which is probably like yesterday's version. So this is a good example if maybe you're trying to catch something recent. So that's archiving. Are there any questions, any thoughts on how to see old versions of sites? Okay. Google, how do I narrow my search in useful ways? You know, you get so much crap from Google. Well, I'm here to tell you there's like secret and semi-secret commands on the Google search bar. You have kind of two options here. There's Google Advanced Search. And let's say I want to find everything about Georgia history, but I don't want any weird conspiracy theories. So I only want sites that end in edu.edu. And see, there's a bunch of things you can search here. Which words do you not want? Do you want numbers on a page? Do you want things in other languages? Do you want things that were, I don't know, pages that have been sitting on the internet for like 1,000 years without an update? Search. And there you go. I'm getting a bunch of credible sources about Georgia history. Now you see up here in the search bar, this is like kind of a shortcut way of writing the query that we just made on that previous page. And there's lots of like ninja queries you can make. For example, you'll see a lot of, I'm not going to read you all these examples. You want to know everything CNN wrote about Rayshard Brooks, but only on these dates? Search for the phrase Rayshard Brooks like you always would, but put in these special commands. After this date, see, it's like after and then colon and then blah, blah, blah. Before this date, and only where the end of the site is CNN.com. So back over here to Google. Yeah, here's the old news about Rayshard Brooks, or, you know, and whatever you wanted to do. You can get a snapshot of the internet on that day 4 days ago. This works for searching public Instagrams. So who's Instagramming from like the Zone 3 protest? Well, let's find out. Oops. Up in the search bar, Zone 3 Atlanta. So I'm going to look for any Instagram content that could be a bio, it could be a photo that has Zone 3 ATL on this site. And what you're going to find is a lot of people who have this in their bio. I don't know if they were like tweeting or posting about the protest, but you know, you could even do like Zone 3 ATL protest or whatever. Oh, well, sorry, there weren't any about that exactly. But anyway, you see where this is going. So this is You can search for different types of file types. You can search for spreadsheets, PDFs. This one is cool. Was Obama ever with Zuckerberg? Search for occurrences of the word Obama within 5 words of Zuckerberg, and it'll turn up news stories where they were together. Twitter Advanced Search has like basically the same functionality. So you see, you can filter all of those things. So that's advanced searching. Any questions or thoughts on that? Oh wait, sorry, I missed a question. Using the example of the state's COVID numbers, would those archives include the daily CSV files? Okay, so that question was from Daniel. It might or might not include the CSV files. You just have to check the archive page and see if it's there. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. It's kind of hit or miss. Sometimes you get lucky, and every time I get lucky and Internet Archive saves my butt, I send them $5, and it happens a couple times a year. Okay, any other questions on advanced search? All right, so we're going to go over to, social media searching. YouTube also has advanced search. So you just go to YouTube and like search for anything, whatever, YouTube. Maybe you go to YouTube, come on, computer. Okay, search for anything. Okay, let's search for the Confederacy since it's right there. And then we can filter here. Whoops, when was it uploaded? Is it long or short? I don't count. Is it a movie or a show or whatever? So there's various filters you can use there to help you find, like, especially local content, local video content. And speaking of local video content, I got to give a hat tip to Ricky Bevington, who clued me into the fact that people are protesting stuff live on Twitch. And Twitch is this thing, it's like where people can live stream whatever they were doing. I thought it was just where people live stream video games they're playing, but it's not. There's people live streaming protests there. So you just go to Twitch, and I could not find that they have an advanced search, but you can, browse around and search by hashtags and maybe, find some video streams that are germane to your reporting. So that's just kind of a footnote. It's just to tell you, right, like Google's not going to turn up all the social media. You still kind of got to do those one by one. Oh, and Facebook, like, as far as I know, there's no way to search Facebook. Not meaningfully. I mean, you can search what your own friends do, but whatever turns up is just whatever the Facebook algorithm turns up. I find it pretty laborious to deal with Facebook. They want you to pay to get their easily searchable data. Okay, 535. Let me put this in a high gear. Can Google tell you if a picture is fake? It can tell you if a picture appears elsewhere on the internet. Let's go to reverse image search. And so it's just a Google. And you see one of the choices is this camera. All right. Well, let's post the URL of this image. Here's the URL of this image. Yeah, because so somebody's like, oh, this person was at the protest and they were throwing bananas at the protest. You're like, is that credible? Was somebody really throwing bananas at the protest? Let me check this image and see if it's a fake image or if somebody's lying to me. Oh no, of course, this picture is like from an old movie. It's totally not from the protest. So if you're trying to like trace down the origin of a picture or where a picture has been used, use Google reverse image search. Any questions there? I'm not seeing any pop up on the chat. I know Sheena will let me know if there's anything I'm missing. Okay. Transcribing takes a long time. There are robot transcription services. They are not perfect, but they are a lot better than, like, if you have something 4 hours long, you know, that's kind of painful to transcribe. I use Otter. It has a free tier of like 600 minutes a month. I've heard good things about a similar service called Timmy, which if you get to where you need to pay, but like you don't do a lot of transcribing, you can get a la carte on Timmy. And I want to show y'all how this works. This is my Otter account. Let's say I want to record. Let's say I want to record what I'm saying. Well, this does a real-time transcription. It's not always perfect, but it's okay. Okay. And then the way the software is, you can go back and open it up. Don't worry about that. So here's your transcription, and you can go back and play it and correct it right in the browser. Record. Let's say I want to record what I'm saying. Well, this does a real-time transcription. It's not always perfect, but it's okay. Okay. So anyway, you can correct it in real time. Can you? Okay. Jewel says, I've had better luck with Otter than with Timmy, but both will require some cleanup. Okay, yep, she is 10-4, she is right. Kelly says, how does it handle multiple voices? If you have multiple voices, it'll like this little circle on the right, it'll be one color and it'll say like speaker 1. And then when the next person speaks, it'll give it a different color dot and it'll say speaker 2. Again, it's not always perfect, but it's pretty good. And so it can do, you know, it can give you any number of dots for any number of speakers that it detects. Daniel asks, can you download the transcript? Yes, you can. Nicholas asks, if a user logs into Otter via their phone, could they conduct an interview and have it transcribed in real time in its entirety, even if the interview is 7 minutes? Nicholas, yes, it can. You can, on your phone, it'll look exactly like I just showed you on my screen. It is going to be transcribing it in real time. I cannot tell you how this changed my life. Larry says, Otter's awesome, but sometimes the errors it produces are hilarious. That's true. There's a hashtag like Otter Insight, and then you post the silly things Otter sent you. Otter is a game changer. Can it transcribe video from another website? Toby, yes, it can. What you have to do is have Otter running with one browser in one window and have the website playing in another browser in another window. And then it absolutely will transcribe. Like if there's some live stream that's too boring to sit and watch, you can make Otter sit there and transcribe it for you. Oh, and also if anybody is ever dealing with like public meetings that are real long, if you can download the video of those public meetings as an M4A, which you can for the city of Atlanta, you can upload that M4A straight to Otter, and you don't even have to play the video for Otter. So you can give it various kind of recordings you may find on the internet. Okay, that is my transcription spiel. Any thoughts or questions on that? Okay, here's my last item. I'm going to speed through this one so we have space for Q&A. And this is the last item. So let's go back to this COVID data and see what we can learn from a simple spreadsheet of COVID data. What we're going to learn is we're going to learn how to sort data, you know, largest to smallest. And what's key here is something called a pivot table that summarizes data for you. So I have another spreadsheet from from Georgia. It's one I downloaded from DPH. It's just deaths by county. You can download a copy of it right here on the web page. Again, it's data like a couple days old from when I was preparing this. You can do this with Google Sheets. You can do this with Excel. Different versions of Excel on different computers look different. If you're on a Mac or a Windows machine, if it's old or new Excel. So you may have to Google around for the right commands for your machine, but the principles are 100% the same. Okay, so first question, who's the youngest COVID victim? We're gonna sort this spreadsheet by age. And I'm just gonna do this example in Google Sheets since I'm logged in here. And again, with Excel, I included pictures on if you're doing this with Excel, and it looks about the same. Okay, so here's the state data. The first thing I'm gonna have to do, let's make sure that, okay, highlight, view, freeze one row. So basically that's just house cleaning. I'm telling it that the first row is the headers. So who is the youngest victim? Let's click anywhere in here in the age column, data, sort, data, sort A to Z. And we find out that the youngest victim is a 17-year-old from Fulton County. All right. And you could sort by, well, there's nothing else you'd really want to sort by here. But look at all this other data we have. We have race, we have sex, we have county, and we have, did they or did they not have a chronic condition? Would be interesting to know. And I certainly don't want to scroll here and count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The thing that summarizes this is called a pivot table. And again, back on the slides, I have examples. I show you how to do this in both Excel and Google Sheets. So don't panic if you didn't catch something. I have all the instructions back there. So I'm going to go to Data, Pivot Table. This is just asking me which data do you want to use, and I say I want to use everything from A1 down here to, you can't see it from here, but E2330. So let's create it. Okay, so under rows, let's add, let's see, okay. Under Google Sheets, on rows, click Add and choose Chronic Conditions. Okay, so you see it's given us the 3 possible answers for chronic condition: no, unknown, and yes. So how many, we got to put something in this B column to see, to get basically the count of each of those answers. So we do that on, click Add Values. You see, usually I use Excel. I have to look up how to do this on Google Sheets. Add Values, Chronic Condition. And the default it gives you is the one that probably makes most sense to it. Of people who died of COVID, 1,477 had a chronic condition, 181 didn't, and a ton of people we don't even know. So, you know, there's finding your story in data. And that is the end of me talking. I'm ready for questions, discussion. What does anybody want to know more about any of these things at the bottom of the sheet, like Pacer or anything like that? What do y'all think? So I'll keep going, but if there are questions or anything, does anybody have any tools they'd like to share with the group? Put it in the chat and we'll talk about it. Oh, there's a Q&A. How do I, oh, Whoops. Oh, somebody answered it. Oh, how do I get, oh, okay. How do I get Otter AI free service? Is it an app from the App Store? Yes, it's an app, or you can just sign up online at otter.ai. Okay, let's see. Okay, Adrian asks, do you have example of story you found in data? For me, I've been using Excel a lot for Atlanta police arrest data, who all got arrested during protests. I can see if I can find it real quick. But I used both Data Wrapper to make a graph, and I used Excel pivot tables, Excel sorting, searching, and pivot tables to see like who got charged with what. Maggie, oh, and I'm going to use Google Advanced Search. Maggie Lee arrests Atlanta site supportareport.com. Okay, yep. So this isn't even a data story, but it's like where these tools helped me do a story better. Yep, so there's a little, oh, wait, y'all can't see it. Hold on, sorry. Okay, now we're screen sharing. Okay, so we'll go back. So like I said, yeah, I use these tools, and I'm about to use another tool right now. I'm gonna search for Maggie Lee arrest Atlanta site supportareport.com, because I know Maggie Lee wrote a story about arrests in Atlanta for supportareport.com lately. And it's the first story that pops up. And there's a graph I made with Data Wrapper. And the Atlanta police had sent out a spreadsheet that just listed like every arrest and the city where they were from, if they were from Atlanta, or no, every person's city. So I assigned a county to every city, and I just summed up the counties with a pivot table exactly like you just saw me do. Okay. Deborah says, I'm working on child trafficking story during COVID, if you have any suggestions. I don't, like, would you be searching for people who were arrested, or if you have a more specific question or anything you want to talk about, just email me. My email is at the top of my, is up here, maggie.a.lee@gmail.com. And y'all can find me on Twitter at Maggie_A_Lee. If anybody else has any resources about child trafficking during COVID, y'all put them in the chat box for Deborah. Nothing's crossing my mind right now, but who knows? Okay, oh, let's see, I see more chat. Okay. Okay, let's see, somebody says, Maggie, can I share the Google Doc of your slides? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, Christy made slides of this Google Doc. My Google Doc isn't going anywhere, but also Christy has some slides, and I hope she shares them widely. Toby Lyle says, have you used IPUMS data, an easy way to work with it? Toby, if I'm not mistaken, IPUMS is census, correct? Maybe not. I don't work with census data, and I clearly don't work with IPUMS because I'm not clear what it is, but that term is common enough that I know what it is. Go down here, if you're not already on these mailing lists down here, or these listservs, get on, I think there's a census listserv, a census reporters listserv. put on by IRI. There's definitely a community of census reporters out there. And if you are having trouble finding them, hit me up on email or on DM or whatever. Nicholas asks, if you create an image from datawrapper.de and you later post it or it is to be published, how does it need to be captioned for sourcing? Do you credit the source? Okay, so the footer on a data wrapper map, let's see, let's go back to that story I did. Okay, so if we look at this data wrapper graph that I published, you'll see as you are in the data wrapper interface, you'll have a place where you can add these things. Data wrapper itself puts in that little part that says created with data wrapper, but it has a little place you'll see under annotations or design or whatever, where you put in your own name, where you put in the source and you put in a link to the source. And also the user can like just download the data. And it'll just be that little bit of data that I grabbed right there. I'm not gonna open it because Excel will take a while. But oh, wait, it's opening. Yeah. It's opening slowly on my old Excel. Okay, yep, so basically it'll just deliver your readers a little tiny spreadsheet of your data. Okay, Deb says children reported missing. Is there a database for that? Yeah, I mean, offhand, I'm not sure, you know, the GBI might have, or if it's national, maybe the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. That's another thing where I'm gonna point you also over to back here to NICAR and IRI listserv. Join those listservs. Because I mean, I don't know, I've never covered missing children. I'm not sure of what data might be available on that, but all these listservs, there's somebody on there who will know. Toby asks, when you give a graph to your website staff, do you give them the graph or perhaps a GIF? Toby, that'll depend on your shop. Your website staff may want that quote unquote embed code that data wrapper will generate, or they may want a GIF, or they can take the PNG that data wrapper creates. So just ask your folks what format, and your folks may already even know about data wrapper and they might be like, oh yeah, use like option 5 or whatever. Jennifer says, yes, iPums is an offshoot of the census. Woohoo! Let's see, am I missing any more questions? Come on, it's 5:54. Let's see if I can, I'm trying to look at two screens that are not side by side. Okay, how am I doing? Okay, so I'll just, oh wait, I can send the slides. Okay, great. So Chrissy's going to send the slides, and yep, and this version of it is not going to change. It's going to be at maggielee.net/hacks. And if you want to holler at me, hit me on Twitter at Maggie A. Lee or maggiealee@gmail.com.
Thank you, Maggie. Thank you so much. What a great presentation. I was fascinated by a lot of that stuff. I am not an investigative reporter, so I haven't had to look up so much data and sort it, but that was really great. And I hope everyone was able to follow along with some of the websites and things we were posting in the chat as we went through. Thank you again, everybody, for attending our check-in series. It's something we try to do most Wednesdays at 5 p.m. Tips and resources for journalists, as well as other topical issues that are happening that month. So please look at our website, atlantapressclub.org, and that's where we'll have all of the upcoming events. Hope everyone has a safe and happy 4th of July. And to all who attended, if you don't mind, we'll just go ahead and email you notes from today's event and the slides, and that way you'll have all the information. Thank you so much, everybody. We look forward to seeing you again soon.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.